This is a read aloud of the 10.1 guided reading. So if you like to have people read to you, you can listen to this video and watch it, I guess, and maybe have your document in a split screen if that helps, or you could just toggle back and forth. Just hit pause whenever we get to a point where you're ready to answer a question, and then you can hit play when you're ready to continue. So the main ideas of this lesson: number one, democracy expanded in the 1820s as more Americans held the right to vote. Number two, Jackson's victory in the election of 1828 marked a change in American politics. Key terms and people: nominating conventions are public meetings to select a party's presidential and vice presidential candidates. Jacksonian democracy, the democratic expansion that occurred because of Andrew Jackson's influence. The Democratic Party was a party formed by his supporters. John C. Calhoun was Jackson's vice presidential running mate. The spoils system is the practice of rewarding political supporters with government jobs. Martin Van Buren was the Secretary of State in Jackson's cabinet. The Kitchen Cabinet was an informal group of Jackson's trusted advisors that sometimes met in the White House kitchen. So this is a nickname. Those are key terms and people that will be in this section. Lesson summary: expansion of democracy. Although Andrew Jackson was a popular political leader, he did not win the presidential election of 1824. Some people were disappointed because they believed he would defend the rights of the common people and slave states. Even though Andrew Jackson wasn't president, his supporters led Congress. During the time of Jackson's popularity, many democratic reforms were made. Some political parties began to hold nominating conventions, in which party members instead of party leaders chose candidates. This period of expanding democracy in the 1820s and 1830s became known as Jacksonian democracy. At this point, you can pause the video and answer the question in the box: why were some people disappointed when Andrew Jackson was not elected president? You can write or type your answer on the lines. Feel free to use the space below if you run out of room, and then you can press play again when you're ready to continue. Election of 1828. Jackson's supporters established the Democratic Party. Many supporters of President John Quincy Adams began calling themselves National Republicans. So remember, they used to be called Democratic Republicans. They're basically going to go away, and we're not going to have them anymore. At this point, you can answer this question. Press pause if you need more time. The presidential candidates were President Adams and Jackson in a replay of the 1824 election. Jackson selected South Carolina Senator John C. Calhoun as his running mate. The campaign concentrated on personalities. Jackson's campaigners said he was a war hero. He was born poor and earned success through hard work. They said that Adams knew nothing about everyday people. His father had been the second U.S. president. Adams's backers said Jackson was too coarse to be president. All right, you can answer this question now. What were some of the key differences between Jackson and Adams? Press pause if you need more time. Jackson and Calhoun won the election. Jackson's supporters described his victory as a triumph for the common people. After he was sworn in as president, a massive crowd followed Jackson to the White House lawn. They had a big party to celebrate. Jackson rewarded some of his supporters with government jobs. This was called the spoils system, but he replaced fewer than 1/5 of federal office holders. One of Jackson's strongest allies in his cabinet was Martin Van Buren. Jackson relied on an informal group of trusted advisors called his Kitchen Cabinet. You can answer this question now. Why might so many people have attended the election party? Press pause if you need more time. The next question here is an open-ended opinion question. Would you have supported Andrew Jackson or John Quincy Adams for president? Why or why not? So just give your opinion. What do you think you would have done if you lived back then? And you can answer it here in the blank space with a text box, or you can write with your finger or a stylus. And then we'll move on to the fill in the blank section. We're going to read each sentence and fill in the blank with the word in the word pair that best completes the sentence. Number 1, meetings to select the party's presidential and vice presidential candidates are called kitchen cabinets or nominating conventions. Choose one of those. You can write the answer on the line, or you can circle what you think the answer is if you want to, or you can highlight it, whatever you want. Number 2, Secretary of State blank was one of President Andrew Jackson's strongest allies in his official cabinet. So who was his Secretary of State? Was it John C. Calhoun or Martin Van Buren? Either write, type, or circle the answer. Number 3, the South Carolina senator that Andrew Jackson chose to be his vice presidential running mate was John C. Calhoun or Martin Van Buren. Number 4, one group of trusted advisors to President Jackson, called the blank, was an informal group that sometimes met in the White House. Was it the kitchen cabinet or the nominating convention? Number 5, a practice known as the blank was when an elected official rewarded some of his supporters with government jobs. Is it the spoils system or nominating convention? Press pause if you need more time. The next section is true, false. For these, we're going to write a T on the line if we think it's true. Write an F on the line if you think it's false. If you think it's false, you need to change the underlined term to the answer that you think it should be. So number 6 says, the backers of Andrew Jackson were mostly farmers, frontier settlers, and southern slaveholders. If you think this is wrong, write the answer that you think it should be on the line and put an F for false. If you think it's true, you don't have to do any of that. You just put a T for true and you move on to number 7. Number 7, the political party that supported Andrew Jackson was known as the Democratic Party. T for true, F for false. Change Democratic Party if you think it's false. Number 8, John C. Calhoun was elected President of the United States in 1828. T for true, F for false. Change John C. Calhoun to the correct answer if you think it's false.